You weren't born in a great hall with a roaring fire. You were born in a dirt floor hovel that smells like shit, smoke, and death. Norway, 873. Winter. The kind of winter that kills half the village before spring. Your mother squats over a pile of straw and pushes you out between skinning a seal and cooking whatever did UNT rot. No midwife, no doctor, no hot water. Just your grandmother with hands like leather and a knife that's seen better days. No celebration, no horns of meat, no songs. Just another mouth that might survive to row a boat someday. Maybe. Your father doesn't hold you. He doesn't coo or smile. He checks your arms and legs like your livestock at market. Strong limbs, good jaw, no deformities. Pass the inspection and you live. Fail it and you're left outside in the snow. The cold will take you by morning. That's not cruelty. That's efficiency. Welcome to the North. Your crib is a wooden box filled with moss and whatever animal fur they could spare. It reeks of piss, mildew, and the previous baby who died in it. You share it with lice, fleas, and occasionally a rat looking for warmth. Sometimes the rat wins. Your first meal isn't milk. Your mother's tits dried up to famines ago. What's left barely feeds your older brother. You get pre-chewed fish. Your grandmother gums it up like cud and spits it into your mouth like a baby bird. The texture is paste. The taste is salt and rot. This is fine dining. You don't cry much. Crying wastes energy. Energy is survival. You learn this lesson before you learn to walk. You're 3 years old. Playtime is over. Your job is to collect dung, cow shit, sheep shit, horse shit, human shit, all of it. Why? Because dried shit burns, and fire means you don't freeze to death. Simple economics. You carry it in your bare hands. The smell soaks into your skin. You'll smell like shit for the rest of your life. Everyone does. By 5, you're helping with the animals, feeding goats, mucking stables, gutting fish with a knife almost as big as you. You cut yourself constantly. Your hands are a map of scars before you're 6. No bandages, no medicine. You wrap it in a rag and keep working. Infection, you'll find out in a week. Your toys, a stick, a bone. A rock you pretend is Thor's hammer. You hit your brother with it. He hits you back. This is how you learn to fight. Imagination is cheap. Pain is free. At night, the whole family sleeps in one room. 20 people. No walls, no privacy. You hear everything. The coughing, the fucking, the snoring, the crying, the dying. You hear your uncle die of fever in the corner. They drag him out in the morning. You sleep in his spot that night. Still warm. You learn to sleep through it all. You learn to ignore the sounds. You learn that death is normal. Baths, once a month if the lake isn't frozen. You share a wooden tub with 10 people. Grandmother goes first. You go last. By the time it's your turn, the water is brown and has things floating in it. But hey, at least you're cleaner than the English. Barely, your teeth are already rotting. No dentist, no toothbrush, just pain and decay. Sugar doesn't exist for you, but neither does dental care. When a tooth goes bad, your father ties a string to it, ties the other end to a goat, and slaps the goat's ass. Yank. Medieval dentistry at its finest. You scream, he laughs. The tooth is gone. The hole in your gum bleeds for days. Your 7 training begins. Your father hands you a wooden sword that weighs more than you do. Swing it 1,000 times, every day, until your arms feel like they're going to fall off. Then swing it 1,000 more. No breaks, no complaints, no excuses. Weakness is death. He doesn't teach you honor. He doesn't teach you mercy. He teaches you to survive. Stab them in the back. Go for the eyes. Kick them in the balls. Weakness is death. He doesn't teach you honor. He doesn't teach you mercy. Go for the eyes. Kick them in the balls. This isn't a duel. This isn't a sport. The throat, the gut, behind the knee. Not a warrior. Not a hero. A weapon. Weeks. Months. You row until you vomit over the side. Everyone is packed into the longhouse like salted fish. You learn what real hunger feels like. Not the I skipped lunch hunger. You bury her in the frozen ground. Bite their throat if you have to. This isn't a duel. This isn't a sport. This is butchery with rules made up by the winner. You practice on pigs. You learn where to cut so they bleed out fast. The throat, the gut, behind the knee. The squealing stops bothering you after the first week. You're not learning to fight. You're learning to kill. There's a difference. You're becoming a weapon. Not a warrior. Not a hero. A weapon. At 10, you're rowing. Hours and hours on a long ship. Pulling an oar that's taller than you. Your hands blistered. Blisters pop. New skin grows. It blisters again. Eventually, your hands are just calluses and scar tissue. No gloves, no padding, just wood and splinters and blood. The North Sea is freezing. The wind cuts through your threadbare clothes like a blade made of ice. The spray from the waves soaks you to the bone. You're wet and cold for days, weeks, months. You row until you vomit over the side. Then you row some more. The older men laugh. They threw up too, 20 years ago. This is the initiation nobody talks about in the sagas. You're pulling an oar next to your father. He doesn't encourage you. He just rows and expects you to keep up. If you can't, you're useless. Useless means you get left behind. You row fast. Winter is the worst. You're trapped inside for months. The sun barely rises. The darkness is endless. Everyone is packed into the longhouse like salted fish. The air is thick with smoke, sweat, and the smell of unwashed bottles. You can't see 5 feet in front of you. Your eyes burn constantly. Your lungs are black by age 12. Food runs low. Then it runs out. You eat the seed grain. The grain you were supposed to plant in spring. Now you'll starve next year too. But that's next year's problem. You eat moss, bark leather from old boots. Your stomach is always empty, always cramping. You learn what real hunger feels like, not the I skipped lunch hunger. The I haven't eaten in 3 days and I'm eyeing the dog hunger. Your little sister dies that winter. She's 4. Fever took her in 2 days. You bury her in the frozen ground. It takes 6 hours to dig through the ice and dirt. Your mother doesn't speak for a month. Your father doesn't speak at all. The scouts don't sing about this part. You're 13, big enough to raid. Your first voyage. 40 men crammed into a boat designed for 30. You row for 3 days straight. Your back is screaming. You eat dried fish that's been sitting in salt for 2 years. It tastes like salted leather, soaked in sweat. You drink rainwater collected in a bucket that smells like vomit and dead fish while rowing. Privacy is for Christians. You shit over the side of the boat, in front of everyone. The older warriors tell stories about gold, about silver, about women, about glory. You're young and stupid. The sea gets rough. The boat is taking on water. This is glory. Land, stone walls, wooden doors, bells ringing for prayer. You beach the boat. 50 men pour out like wolves on sheep. Your legs don't work. Stumble again. The older men are already running. You chase them. They think God will protect them. God doesn't show up. Your first kill? Begging in Latin, a language you don't understand. He's crying. Hands you an axe. Do it. You hesitate. Heavy, waiting. Everyone is watching. You swing blood everywhere on your hands. You taste salt. You taste death. Not because you're brave, crosses, candlesticks, cups, plates. One guy finds the wine cellar. Everyone gets drunk because someone kicked over a candle. The whole place goes up in flames. You barely get out. Smoke everywhere. They're too drunk to find the door. They burn alive. Nobody goes back for them. The boat is leaving. You run. 3 silver coins, a bent spoon. This is what you killed for. Your village celebrates. Ale that doesn't taste like piss. A man, you feel nothing. His hands reaching for heaven. You wake up in a sweat. Vikings don't have nightmares. Vikings don't feel guilt, right? You're 16. You've raided 5 times now. You don't think you just kill. It's easier that way. You buy a sword, a real one, steel, blood drinker, edge biter, skull splitter, something dramatic like a hammer, like an axe. Scars everywhere. It heals, crooked, fingers broken, and healed wrong. They're stuck like claws. You're 16 and you already creak like an old man. Your knees pop when you stand. Your back aches when you row. About how rich you'll be after this raid. You believe them. They're lying. But you don't know that yet. Waves the size of houses. Half the crew is vomiting. You bail with a bucket while rowing with your other hand. For 6 hours straight, you're soaked, freezing, exhausted. Finally, England, a monastery on the coast. Your captain grins. This is it. Easy pickings. You've been sitting for 3 days. You stumble, fall, get up. The monks see you coming. They're praying harder, louder. A monk, old, unarmed, on his knees, hands clasped, eyes to heaven. Your father pushes you forward. The monk is old, harmless. Your father's hand is on your shoulder. The axe goes through his skull like it's a rotten melon. Your face in your mouth. You taste copper. Your stomach lurches. You're going to puke. Don't. They're watching. Swallow the shame. You scream because you're terrified and trying to hide it. The monastery has gold. You don't know what half of it is. You just grab everything shiny, fast. Drunk Vikings in a burning building, thatch roof, wooden beams, dry as bone, heat like a forge. 2 of your crew don't make it, screaming, still holding stolen chalices. You hear them cooking. You sail home with your share of the loot. a cloak with blood on it. This is wealth. There is a feast, roasted meat, actual bread. For one night, you're not starving. You're a warrior now. That night, you dream about the monk, his face, his eyes, heart pounding. You don't tell anyone. Vikings don't have nightmares. You're good at it. Efficient, cold. You don't hesitate anymore. The faces blur together after a while. The gold piles up. Steel, sharp enough to shave with. You name it. The Scalds do it, so you do it. It's just a tool. But naming it makes you feel important. Your body is a mess. A chunk of your ear missing from an arrow. Your nose broken twice. You look mean. Good, mean keeps people away. They don't straighten anymore. You're 16 and you already creak like an old man. Your knees pop when you stand. Your back aches when you row. Your teeth are half gone. Scurvy, infections, bar fights. You smell like death and old sweat and smoke. Everyone does. Bathing is still a rare luxury. Once a month, if the lake isn't frozen, you reek. Your clothes reek. Your hair is a matted nest of grease, salt, and lice. You try to comb it once. The comb breaks. You give up. Women avoid you unless you have silver. Then they tolerate you. For a price. Love, romance. That's for Scalds and their bullshit songs. You're 18. You take a wife. Not because you love her. You've spoken to her twice. Because you need someone to cook, clean, and make more Vikings. Her father sold her to you for 2 cows and a decent sword. That's the going rate. She's 15, terrified, silent. Your wedding is a transaction. Witnessed, binding. Your wedding night is awkward, silent, and quick. She cries after. You pretend not to notice. This is marriage. She gets pregnant immediately. Of course she does. 9 months later, she screams for 18 hours straight. No doctor, no painkillers, no mercy. Just the village women holding her down while she pushes. Blood, so much blood. You wait outside, listening, drinking. The screaming stops. For a moment you think she's dead. Then you hear crying. The baby. She survives. Barely. Torn and bleeding and exhausted. The baby is a boy. Small. Wrinkled. Screaming. You have a son. Another future raider. The cycle continues. You don't feel joy. You feel relief that she didn't die. Dead wives are expensive to replace. You're 20. You're a veteran now. You've killed more men than you can count. 15, 20, 30. You stopped counting after 10. They all look the same after a while. You've been to England, Ireland, Francia, and someplace you can't pronounce. All the same different coasts, same screams, same blood. You're rich by Viking standards. You have 5 swords, 2 axes, a helmet without rust, and a coat that doesn't have holes. You've built a house, bigger than a hovel, smaller than a hall. It leaks when it rains. The floor is still dirt, but it's yours. You own land, a small plot, enough for a few animals. This is success, but your body is failing. You're 20 and you feel 50. Your knees are ruined from rowing, grinding bone on bone with every step. Your back is twisted from swinging axes and hauling loot. You cough constantly. The smoke, the cold, the damp air. Every breath rattles. Your lungs are full of something. Fluid, blood, rot. You don't know. There are no doctors. You've got worms in your gut, long ones. You see them in your shit sometimes. Everyone has them. It's normal. You shit blood sometimes. You don't mention it. Warriors don't complain. Your teeth are loose. Your gums bleed when you eat. Scurvy. You need fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. You haven't seen either in months. Winter comes, the worst one in years. The crops failed. Again, the animals are starving. You're starving. You eat the seed grain. Again, the grain you need for spring. You're condemning yourself to starvation next year. But you'll deal with next year when it comes. If you survive this winter, your son gets sick. He's 2 years old. A fever that won't break. His skin is hot. His eyes are glassy. He won't eat. You sacrifice a goat to Odin. You say the words. You spill the blood. The fever gets worse. You sacrifice your best cow, the one you need for milk. You pray harder, louder. The fever doesn't break. Your son dies on the 3rd day, in your arms, gasping for air that won't come. You feel his last breath on your face. Then nothing. You bury him next to your sister, in the frozen ground. It takes 8 hours to dig the hole. Your hands bleed. You don't care. Your wife doesn't speak for 2 months. When she does, her voice is different, hollow. Something broke inside her. The Scalds still don't sing about this part. You're 22. Another raid. You need silver. You need food. Winter took everything. This time, it's different. The village is ready. Someone talked. Someone warned them. It's a trap. You hit the beach and arrows come from the trees. Dozens of them. Men fall, screaming, choking on blood. Your captain takes an arrow through the throat. He drops without a sound. Spears from the bushes. Men in armor rushing from the village. Real soldiers. Not farmers. Not monks. Soldiers. Half your crew dies in the first 2 minutes. This isn't a raid. This is a slaughter. You run not because you're a coward, because you're not a fucking idiot. You make it back to the boat. Your lungs are burning. Your legs are shaking. You row faster than you've ever rowed in your life. Arrows hit the water around you. One hits the man next to you. He slumps forward, still holding his oar. You push him overboard and keep rowing. No time for funerals. No time for honor. No time for grief. Survival is the only honor that matters. You make it home with nothing. No silver. No glory. No pride. Just shame. And half a crew. Your new captain blames you. You weren't fast enough. Weren't strong enough. You should have seen the trap. He beats you in front of everyone. Fists and boots and humiliation. You take it. You don't fight back. Because he's right. You fucked up. People died because you were slow. You're 25. Your raiding days are almost over. Your body is broken. Your sword arm shakes. Can't hold a shield for more than a minute. Your lungs rattle with every breath. You're coughing up blood now. Dark blood. Thick. Wrong. You've got an infection in your leg from a cut 3 weeks ago that never healed. It's green, oozing, smells like rot. Someone suggests cutting it off before it spreads. You refuse. You'd rather die than be a cripple. Cripples don't raid. Cripples don't earn. Cripples starve. The infection spreads anyway. Up your leg. Into your groin. Into your gut. Fever sets in. High burning. You're delirious seeing things that aren't there. Valkyries, your dead son, your dead sister, the monk you killed. They're all there, watching, waiting. Your wife tries to cool you with wet rags. It doesn't work. The fever cooks you from the inside. Your skin is on fire. You're dying. You know it. Everyone knows it. No battle, no glory, no Valhalla. Just infection and bad luck. You die in your dirt floor house, on a bed of straw and lice. Your wife is next to you, holding your hand. You don't feel it. You see the monk again, still praying, still bleeding. Then nothing. Your body is burned on a pyre. Not because you deserve it, because burying you in frozen ground takes too long. They need the wood for winter, but you get a pyre anyway. Your sword is supposed to burn with you. It doesn't. Your wife keeps it. She'll sell it for food next month. Your son is dead. Your name will be forgotten in 1 generation. Maybe 2 if you're lucky. You were a Viking, and you died like most Vikings. Sick, poor, forgotten. Let's count up your glorious Viking life, shall we? You died at 25 years old. In those 25 years, you raided 11 times. You came home with loot 7 times. The other 4 times you barely escaped with your life. You killed roughly 18 people. Maybe more, maybe less. Mostly unarmed monks, some farmers, a few fishermen, 1 actual soldier. And you still have nightmares about him. Heroic. You earned about 600 grams of silver in total. That's the weight of 2 iPhones. You spent it all on food, weapons, and trying not to starve. You bathed maybe 30 times in your entire life. Once a year if the lake wasn't frozen. Twice a year if you were feeling fancy. You had lice for 23 of your 25 years. The only time you didn't was right after you shaved your head. They came back in a week. You lost 12 teeth to rot, violence, and scurvy. By the end, you were gumming your food like an old man. You fathered 3 children. 1 died in childbirth. 1 died of fever. 1 might survive to 10. Maybe. You owned 1 helmet, 5 swords, 2 axes, and a leaky house. Books read. 0. You can't read. Writing is for Christian monks, and you killed those farthest you ever traveled. Maybe 300 miles from where you were born. You saw 4 countries. You learned 0 languages. You just grunted and pointed at things. Days spent actually raiding. Maybe 60 out of 9,000 days alive. The rest, rowing, farming, freezing, starving, glory. You think Vikings were noble warriors. Let's talk about reality. The TV shows lied to you. The movies lied to you. The video games lied to you. Vikings weren't honorable. They were pirates with better marketing. They raided monasteries because monks don't fight back. Easy targets, easy gold. They killed farmers and fishermen and merchants, not knights, not armies. When they did fight real soldiers, they usually lost. Badly. That's why they raided undefended villages. Risk management. The Viking Age. It lasted 300 years because they kept running away and coming back when nobody was looking. Hit and run. Over and over. That's not bravery. That's piracy. Berserkers drugged up psychos who ate mushrooms and got themselves killed in the first 5 minutes of every battle. Useful idiots, shield maidens, maybe 5 in all of recorded history. The rest is Netflix fantasy. Viking funerals with burning boats pushed into the sea almost never happened. Boats were too valuable, too expensive, too useful. They burned your body on land and kept the boat for the next raid. Economics over emotion. Valhalla, a story to make you less afraid of dying in a ditch covered in your own shit. Did it work? Sometimes. The gods, they didn't save you, didn't feed you, didn't stop the dysentery or the fever or the infected leg. They just watched you suffer and did nothing. But you kept praying anyway, because what else could you do? Let's compare your life to a modern person sitting in a chair right now. You're in a warm room, heated air, clean water from a tap, lights that actually work. The Viking would murder everyone in this room for that heater alone. Your bad day, your Wi-Fi is slow, your coffee got cold, your boss sent a passive-aggressive email. Their bad day, your child died of fever, you're chewing on boot leather, your leg is rotting off your body. You complain about your commute, traffic, delays, crowded trains. They rode for 3 days straight with hands bleeding through calluses to reach a village that might be defended. You complain about your job, long hours, bad pay, annoying coworkers. They killed unarmed people for less money than you spend on coffee in a week. You binge watch Netflix, 8 hours straight. Your eyes hurt. They watched their friends burn alive in a monastery and called it a successful raid. You have a dentist, anesthesia, root canals, painkillers. They had a rock, a string, and a goat. You have antibiotics, penicillin, surgery, MRI machines. You have therapy for your anxiety. They had untreated PTSD and alcoholism. You have a future, retirement plans, savings accounts, dreams. They had winter and the hope that maybe they'd survive it. Maybe. You weren't a Viking warrior. You were a pirate, a thief, a murderer, a desperate, cold, starving man with an axe. You didn't fight for honor. You fought for food. You didn't raid for glory. You raided because the fish weren't biting and the crops failed again. You weren't noble. You weren't heroic. You were cold, hungry, violent, and terrified. You were born in shit. You lived in shit. You died in shit. And in between, you made other people's lives shit too. The Viking Age wasn't a grand adventure. It was survival with extra drowning. History is written by the survivors, and the survivors lied to make themselves look better. The skalds sang songs about heroes and glory and honor. They left out the dysentery, the starvation, and the children dying every winter. They left out the PTSD, the alcoholism, and the crippling guilt. They left out the truth. The truth. You were a criminal with a boat, and that boat leaked next time on through a warrior's eyes. Medieval knight, not a noble hero. A rich psychopath in 300 pounds of metal who burns peasants for fun and calls it God's work. Samurai reality. Not honorable. Not loyal. A broke hitman who sells his sword, sells his daughter, and sells his soul to avoid starvation. Roman legionary. Marching 25 miles a day with 80 pounds on your back, digging ditches in the rain, and dying of dysentery in a country whose name you can't even pronounce. We show history without the polish, without the lies, without the Hollywood bullshit, blood, mud, truth. Subscribe to Through a Warrior's Eyes. Your next brutal lesson awaits.